We have reached the end of the Volume 1 of the Earth War. This is Aliens issue 6 of 6. Again, beautiful, old school traditional comic artwork here on display. I just love these covers. And again, remember how I said Dark Horse was kind of early on? This was sort of like the underground. And so they couldn't afford color for everything. So I at least appreciate that they did the covers. And there's actually, I can't remember which issue it is, but back in the editor's notes and the bullpen notes, they actually talk about saying, who doesn't say we like color? Check out all these comics coming out. And there's some big ones that are groundbreaking. And we'll talk about that in another review down the road. Again, awesome interior cover art here. And again, we don't know who this cat is. We don't know if he's a religious zealot or if this is supposed to be like a Corona, but very cool style. And this is very much another foreshadow. July 1989, script, Mark Verheiden. Art, Mark A. Nelson. Layout assist, Ron Randall. Lettering, Willie Schubert. What I was talking about with issue 5. And if you guys haven't been following along, pause this, check out the videos and come back, or read the comics with the novelizations and come back. This alien being here just saved Hicks and Newt on the aliens' alleged home world. This is the Space Jockey alien race. So as I was saying in the last review, before this is 1988, Alien 3 hadn't even come out yet. This is before Covenant, before Prometheus, or any of that. And by goodness, I wish that this would have been what we got as Alien 3. It had dead eyes and not seen. It had destroyed the aliens, but not for us. Never for us. And I just like how Newt looks at him. Why? It didn't speak, but something exploded inside my head, bright like a million suns. The images boiled up from some deeper place, the same place as primal instinct, hunger, pain, fear, hatred. Newt, I can see. Now, again, 1989. I don't think, at this point, I don't think the director's cut of Aliens was available yet. I think it was on bootleg, according to Alien Theory. So no one knew who Weyland-Yutani was at this point. Last issue, Massey, the sociopath, even says the corporation, referring to Bionational. But now in the updated pages of Xenopedia, it says that Bionational was a direct competitor of Weyland-Yutani. But here it's never mentioned in these comics. And up to this point, before the director's cut of Aliens, Weyland-Yutani was never mentioned. So this is what they were building up in these comics as well. So we'll think of an alternate timeline where this would have became the dominant sequel. We never would have heard of Weyland-Yutani. It would have been Bionational. So the reason that I say all that, I say that to say this. We get Newt's backstory of the Jordans that we now know is in the beginning of the Aliens director's cut. My name is Rebecca, but everyone calls me Newt. I'm 6 years old. I live on a world called Acheron. There are 159 of us on the planet. The corporation calls us terraformers. My father calls us pioneers. The corporation had sent us out to investigate some sort of magnetic surge. I can still remember my father's smile, the scent of my mother's perfume. Readings are going off the scale. We must have found the mother lode. And you know the rules. We find it, we keep it. So this is Rush Jordan. My God. And this right here. The reintroduction of the derelict. Oh, look at that. Traditional artwork with all the inkblot lines and the dark shadows. Handmade artwork. Delicious. And so we see the Jordans suiting up. Hard to believe something this big with this kind of resonance went out without being noticed. It's partly sheltered by natural rock formations. The damn XSATs never worked up to spec. What's it matter? It's ours now. My name's Newt. I'm I'm not 6 years old. Jesus, it was all so long ago. I don't want to remember. Don't make me remember. Wind's really kicking up. We'll make a quick loop to secure the claim, then head back. You kids stay inside, and I mean it, no fooling around. You can watch the monitor, but don't touch. I can't stand to see it again. My God, Russ, it's enormous. Over here, it looks like some sort of gash in the hull. I was only 6 years old. The discovery of the derelict didn't really mean anything to me. This is incredible. Everything's smooth, almost organic. We had terraformed a barren rock into a viable, life-sustaining planet. We had battled time, space, the elements, and won. We weren't afraid. And in here, as she says, we weren't afraid. That came later. Maybe that thing in the derelict shared our blind arrogance until the aliens killed it. So we go back to the space jockey. You can see finally, we get the understanding. So this thing has infiltrated Newt's memory. It somehow knew that I had seen the wreckage. We shared a grotesque form of empathy. And so here, it wants me to know. I can only pick out bits and pieces, like someone blinking channels on a video. There's the derelict. It described a ship, some kind of mission. The eggs. Oh God, the eggs. Don't make me see it again. My name is Newt. I'm 6 years old. My father knelt in front of the pots. I could see him over the tractor's monitor. I could see the excitement in his eyes. Jesus, Aunt, I see something moving. I think there's still a... Daddy, no. Pilot aboard the cargo vessel lost control of its ship. So, how she's talking about the grotesque empathy. We see her father being attacked. We see the pilot being attacked. It should have drifted forever. It should have carried the aliens' things into the hell of deep space. Instead, it crashed into the world that man would christen Acheron. And the spore survived. They waited patiently for new blood. They found it in the colonists. My parents. She looks at him, tears, blood running down her nose. Your friend? And so, in a sense, Newt thinks that she is bonding with this guy. Keep that in mind. And so, while the Marines are clearing up, fixing the ship, her and the space jockey are mentally, telepathically talking. When you're young, you can't understand evil. It's intangible. Like the air or the sky, injustice pervasive. I wanted to believe there was something better, that there was some kind of hope. It watched us with its dead eyes, and I felt the chill. It had come to the alien world out of hate. It had rescued us in the name of revenge. Perhaps evil is the only universal truth. Keep that in mind, please. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, we go to Earth. Dr. Arona reporting the outbreak from the cultists that escaped infected with the alien. Eyes only. AA Alpha. Log on Arona. I've lost track of time since the bionational attack. I've barricaded myself in my office to give me time to prepare for this final report. Evidently, the alien queen is able to communicate in some subconscious fashion with other species. In human beings, these decimations manifest themselves in the form of pattern nightmares, the dreams, or allure. Salva Hayes Church. We see the alien bursting out of victims. At first, we thought we'd be able to contain the spore infestation. Seemed limited to a narrow geographical range. And yet, for every cluster we found, there were 10 more just like it. And then remember, Ostro. Name's Ostro. Looked like he was some sort of big shot with Bionational. Burn the son of a bitch. So we kind of get the coming ups of what happened. Now, again, novelization really expounds on this and goes across the globe. talking about things like how they captured a queen alien and essentially destroyed Jakarta. Australia became so infected that it was quarantined. No one could enter or leave, and anyone that tried to leave would be shot down. So that's why I said read the novelization with the comic. There was a geometric perfection to the infestations. Each queen would lay still more queens, and with every generation, the spore became more entrenched, more boom. Ah, at last. So the aliens are starting to get into his barricade. The civilian authority was weak in the face of the devastation. When the generals finally staged their coup, it seemed almost welcome. The military created testing centers where physicians checked civilians for signs of the alien infection. At first, the tests were voluntary. Within days, that changed. There were rumors the military was using the pretext of alien infection to eliminate political dissonance, the poor, the disaffected, as if such petty rivalries even mattered. So even though the alien has now come upon Earth, going back to morality, we see that even with the world falling, greed, evil destroys Eden. From all this, I've come to understand something about humanity. Man is an animal, driven by animal passions. Civilization is a pathetic charade of manners, predicated on a tissue-thin veil of lies. In the future, if there is a future, historians may blame our failures on some external cause. The aliens, bionational, fate. Again, fate. I know the truth. Those things didn't destroy us. We did. And so again, we're thinking that we're watching this in real time, but it's delayed. What it was a broadcast that Hicks and Newt picked up from the alien homeworld. I take pride in my pragmatism. I realize this transmission is pointless. I doubt if the long-range relay operations are even working. Still, if anyone has actually seen this, doesn't really matter, does it? I've never actually fired one of these. I feel rather foolish. And so, when we would talk about, remember how I was saying how Arona seems very, in the beginning, very passive, just, it's sort of like, I guess you could say it as like the Grim Reaper or like the Watcher, like Uatu from Marvel Comics, and passively watching everything happening until it becomes uncontrollable. In the novelization, it talks about how he started to get smug and people getting sloppy. Now, as I was talking about the Space Jockey, Hicks says, "It's over, Newt. We're helpless." She grabs his arm. "You're right. We're helpless. It's not." Why is this important? They essentially tell the alien to follow her. Now, there's a very sweet, we actually get a moment to breathe after everything that's happened for 6 issues with Butler and Newt. I don't want to give all that away. Now we see both ships arriving on Earth. Time passed quickly. For the first time since Acheron, I felt a sense of calm. Earth drifted below us like some bright toy, and at long last we were home. And so the Benedict lands, they talk to the Major, and she says, "The rain reminded me of Acheron, reminded me of my innocence." Again, symbolism. In films, whenever we talk about rain, like think of like the Shawshank Redemption when I can't remember the character's name, but when he finally gets out of prison and he throws his hands up, what is he covered in? Rain. Or when Aragon dies in the Two Towers and he is rescued and returns to Helm's Deep, what did he come from? Lake. Rebirth. So just, again, symbolism. Now, Hicks is trying to say, why don't you use the bombs that Arona planted? Because that was kind of Arona's final thing, is he was going to destroy, or at least try to nuke the entire Earth. But the general refuses. And Hicks, in a rage, Jesus, haven't you heard anything I've said? There's still a chance if you'll deal with it. Newt, realization. They don't want to stop it. What? It's only a matter of time before the aliens overrun us. We've got to deal with the reality of the situation. Arona understood. The alien attack isn't evil. It's opportunity. Earth's been on the brink of destruction for decades. There's no discipline, no order. The aliens only exacerbated the situation. It's a chance to clean the slate, a chance to start over again. After a few years, when it's over, the survivors can return and terraform Earth into something beautiful again. We can rediscover ourselves. It's a good thing. So again, they're trying to think, this is kind of like an analogy of like the Garden of Eden, or Noah and the flood. And Newt, for the first time since Akron, I laughed. I laughed because words had lost their meaning. Because that son of a bitch, Arona, had been right. The aliens didn't destroy us. We did. That echoes back to what Arona actually said. So, everyone evacuates Earth. I don't want to go into all the specifics because I want you guys to read the story in its entirety. We were leaving Earth to the aliens and Arona's opportunity. I suppose I should have cried, felt something for those we left behind, but I'd run out of tears long ago. And then it spoke to me. So as we're seeing all these ships going into orbit, the Xenomorphs tearing apart the last stronghold on Earth, the Space Jockey reaches out to Newt again. And remember, they wanted him to follow them to Earth so that he could help eradicate the aliens. It changed since the homeworld, and it took me a moment to fully comprehend. It understood about Arona. It knew his twisted plan. We thought it shared our thirst for vengeance. We led it to Earth in the mistaken belief it wanted to help us. How could we have been so blind? It shared so many of our mercurial human emotions: hate, anger, the desire to conquest. It no longer cared about the aliens. Interests had shifted. The soldiers assumed they would return one day and terraform Earth for themselves. It would watch. It would be waiting for them. It just wanted me to know. And guys, that's essentially where Volume 1 of Aliens ends, with the Earth falling to the Xenomorph plague. And why this should have been Alien 3. And, you know, I have a special place in my heart for Alien 3, the assembly cut, not the... I do want to check out the new one, but anyway. They would have followed these in Volume 2 and the Earth War, and went on to Genocide, Hive, etc., so forth. They could have been pumping out films left and right, and people would have been loving them. Instead of, oh, this takes place between Alien and Aliens. This is, and then what was the Out of the Shadows? Oh, Ripley actually stopped somewhere before being lost forever and woke up to help people battle the Xenomorph. And then she gets critically injured, and they have to save her, and it wipes her memory, and she's put back into the Narcissus and is sent back on her way. Bullshit like that. When they had a blueprint right. So just like what happened to Earth, hubris and greed, I guess. So guys, this is important to the alien mythos. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and try to get the original issues. Because if you get like collected reprints later down the road, the names are changed. I've said this before. Hicks becomes Wilkes. Newt becomes Billy. Butler becomes Bueller. And then Ripley, when she shows up in the Earth War comics, which we've gone over, I have a playlist. In this book, it's her. But because of after Alien 3, they had to revamp everything. She is an android. So just kind of keep that in mind. But the novelizations are great as well, in spite of those. And apparently, Marvel Comics has done these in reprints, and I flicked through them, and they do preserve the original character names. So with that said, if you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate taking a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Space Jockey bell next subscribe, that way as I can upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you on hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. And if you enjoy what I do and you'd like to help support the channel, I have additionally left a PayPal tip jar link down in the description. And if not, I still appreciate you stopping by and checking out this video. Either way, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.